Hey,
Welcome back to the He Said Yes YouTube channel.
I'm Caleb.
I'm Matthew. And in today's video, we're going to be giving you our top 3 tips for moving to the Netherlands.
For finding an apartment in the Netherlands.
For finding an apartment in the Netherlands.
Which they go hand in hand.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
and you're going to want to stick around to the very end because
Why?
we will be giving you a tour of our space. And I'm going to warn you, I didn't clean it first, but it's going to be worth it and it's going to be fun.
Great. And before we get into our 3 tips,
do us a favor, go ahead and subscribe to this channel. Give this video a like and hit the notification bell. All those things help us get out there. We just hit our 101 subscriber.
Yes.
101th?
yes.
Is that
No,
how you-
101st.
101st.
All right. So, tip number 1 is to know what you want. And
This sounds like a very basic tip that you might hear anywhere, but I really want you to think about this because we've moved quite a bit.
And not just what you want, but what you're willing to negotiate. So I would suggest really breaking that down into 3 main lists. One are absolute must-haves. This could be, for example, if you have mobility issues, no stairs is a must-have.
If you have pets and you are taking your pets with you, you need a place that accepts pets.
As people who work from home and eat 95% of our meals in our apartment, a full-size fridge and
Full-size stove.
stove, oven, all of that, those are non-negotiables for us. If you eat out every meal, maybe you can do with a mini fridge and a hot plate. But you need to know what that is for you. That's one of the lists you want to have. The next, you want to know what are things that you really, really want and you don't want to negotiate on, but if the going gets tough, you would negotiate. So for us, that was
Having a bathtub. We love taking baths and we really wanted a place with a bathtub.
no stairs. We really didn't want stairs. We do have stairs. It was totally worth negotiating that for the apartment that we got. So so you just need to know that. What are the things that you just really want, but it's not the end of the world.
It's
if
not
you
a
found
need, yeah.
If you found a great apartment, but it didn't have a bathtub, could you just go to the sauna and use the jacuzzi, the spa and use the jacuzzi once a month or something? And then
Things that would be nice
to have. Yeah. So
an outdoor space.
patio.
Yeah, for the
that's
patios.
exactly what I was thinking.
Having a patio, we actually have one. You'll see it in a bit.
But for us, that was nice to have because we can also just walk outside, although that's harder with all the stairs. But having that list as you go in, and then the other piece of that list is geographic. For us, we really wanted to live in Amsterdam, in a big city. You may also, within Amsterdam, have specific neighborhoods you're interested in. But all that being said, Amsterdam is the hardest place in Netherlands to get housing. So if being that central is not as important for you, number one, there are cities just outside Amsterdam where you can get in on the train in 30 minutes, or you can even go further out. But that is, you know yourself, hopefully, and how much of a city you want to live in.
And if you are a city person, maybe not pick a farm town that's small little village. Try to find something more connected where you can get around on public transit. The other thing for this one is going to come down to budget.
Yes.
When it comes to your budget, you need to know what you're willing to spend on an apartment. And I know that this can be difficult when you're moving to a new country because your finances may be a little up in the air.
And also know how negotiable your budget is. If you're moving here on the Daft, you may or may not have an idea of what your minimum income is going to be. So just have an idea of that. And then I guess the other thing I would say within that is that you could consider some temporary housing, even temporary housing. Maybe you want to be in Amsterdam, but you do temporary housing somewhere that's nearby just so you can get here. The one important thing to know about that is here in the Netherlands, you have to register in the city where you live. You can watch our video about the gemeente registration.
I'll link it at the end.
It's going to be linked in the description. But many short-term rentals do not allow registration. So you may see in the listings registration allowed or registration not allowed.
Also in like
That's
the
what it's referring to.
Facebook groups for Netherlands apartment searches will say that often in the listing, or if someone's doing like a sublet, they'll say like, registration allowed.
And
that's what that means.
You have to register to get your BSN, which is the Netherlands equivalent of the Social Security number. If you are planning to run a business here, which if you're coming on the DAFT, you're planning to run a business, you need to have your BSN. If you're bringing a spouse who wants to get a job because they're going to have a work permit, they need to have a BSN. So being able to register is super important. So short-term housing can be a great option, but make sure that you're allowed to register.
Absolutely. Moving on to our second tip for finding a place in the Netherlands, it's going to be make some friends. And this sounds very basic as well, but honestly,
I would say make connections. Make genuine connections and be willing to ask for what you want. And I just want to be really clear about this. I'm not saying go meet people so that you can use them or ask them for things with the expectation that they are going to deliver something to you, but make genuine connections because you're gonna be living here and you want to know people, but then also be willing to ask for what you need and knowing that, they may be able to help, they may not. It doesn't matter, but it doesn't hurt to ask. And if it does hurt to ask, then maybe that's just not a connection you want.
A couple examples of this were when we got to the Netherlands, to visit the first time, we did make a connection with someone. Caleb was chatting with them.
Yeah, we find people on Facebook groups is a big place where we find people, actually.
And this person was chatting with Caleb, and we didn't actually get to hang out, but the person was just like, if you need anything, please let me know. And Caleb jokingly,
kind of joking, I said, well, do you know an apartment coming open at the end of July? And he said, oh, well, I'm planning to buy a place, so I'm moving out. And anyway,
around the end of July.
So long story short, we were really hoping to move into his apartment. It was pet friendly, which was, one of our biggest requirements besides being in Amsterdam. He had stayed in touch, been really just friendly and helpful. He gave us a video tour of his apartment, which was great. But there kept being some issues with his mortgage, which I understand can happen when you're a foreigner who's trying to get a mortgage here.
And it kind of became for us a little bit crunch time. Like it was time
we
for
were
us
to... at a place in our timeline where I said to him, hey, it's great that this guy's been so helpful, but if this doesn't work out by the end of the week, then we need to go with plan B. Plan B, by the way, is tip number 3, so that'll come up in a second. But at that same time, he said, hey, reach out to the other guy who we connected with while we were there and just ask if he knows of anything coming available. Make sure he knows our timeline. So I reached out to that person and just said, hey, do you know any apartments coming available end of July? And he followed up within a day or two.
Turns out, so he's a hairdresser. Turns out he had a client come in and had mentioned that she was moving out of her apartment, asked him if he knew anybody that was looking, and he did because he knew us. Put us in contact with her, and the conversations with her right away were just really great.
Super.
It was all through text.
Our experience overwhelmingly, and I think since we've moved here too, has just been that people have been so friendly and welcoming and helpful. She sent us a video tour of the apartment.
Which you'll see.
You'll see our video tour. We asked about pets, and I just will tell this story because I thought it was so funny.
Great.
So she asked the landlord. She copy pasted the landlord's response and sent it back to me, and he said, I've allowed pets in my buildings before, but they always make a mess and they stink," and kind of went on about how he didn't want to allow pets. And then at the end of this message, he says, "Are they friendly cats?" And to be fair, our cats are objectively very friendly and well-behaved cats. That being said, we would have said they were no matter what.
Absolutely.
But we said they're great, they're wonderful, they're well-behaved.
I said throw in some pictures.
Sent some pictures. Yeah. And then she said, great, I'm going to put you in touch with my landlord. And long story short, within a week, we had signed a lease with him to move in. I mean, it was
deposit.
It was so unreal. I reached out to the person we had connected with again, and I guess I'll just add to the story. It turned out that we had a lot of connections with this person. We were friends with his college roommate and somebody who we had met in an Animal Crossing Facebook group and connected with in person also knew him. So we felt confident that he was like not a scammer. So then we messaged him. We were like, hey, how well do you know her? Like, this feels too good to be true. And he's like, she's definitely legit. So we're like, all right, we're going to take a leap of faith and send a bunch of money and hope there's an apartment when we arrive. And as you will see in the tour video at the end of this, there was in fact an apartment here ready for us. And honestly, we have been told we hit the landlord lottery. The person who lived here before actually only moved out because she bought something.
And it's an incredible space. You'll see it very soon.
All right. So that is tip number 2. Obviously, we did get really lucky. But that being said, we've also had a number of people tell us, oh, that's how I found my apartment. So this is a doable way to do things. But again, I just want to stress, like, don't run around trying to make 50 friends just because you want to get something from them.
It's also not the same thing. Sometimes people think just posting in like a Facebook group and say, hey, I'm looking for an apartment is the same as what we're talking about.
Especially not if it's an anonymous post. But even a post with your name on it still isn't the same.
And so I'm like talking about building real connections with people where you have a similar interest and you care, like you're investing in them as much as they're investing in you.
Yeah, the person who connected us with the former tenant here and the former tenant here, we've had them over a few times since we've moved here and played games and stuff like that. So I mean, these are people who we are going to stay in touch with long term while we're here.
But if all else, doesn't work out and you do find yourself in a pinch, there are services that will help you, which is our third tip for finding a place. There may be a time where you just need the help.
Yeah, and this is what a lot of people here do. Here they're called maklars. They're like real estate agents or brokers is what we would call them in some of the U.S. cities. But the maklars will help you find a place. Although we didn't use them, there are a couple of maklar companies that I have seen mentioned over and over and over again in the groups that we're in. So I made note of those because I wanted to share them as an option or a tip for who you would want to reach out to if you do end up going with the maklar. And I think my understanding is the cost of maklars is usually between 1,000 euros and 1,500 euros is what I've seen when we were kind of doing a cursory look. And so the two companies that I've seen mentioned the most are Homes for Expats and Expats on the Move. And my understanding is that it also can be a little more challenging if you are an expat. So these two specifically know how to talk to and negotiate with landlords on behalf of expats and kind of like assuage any concerns they may have about renting to expats. And at least that's what I've gathered from the group. So those are the ones I would definitely recommend, noting that obviously we have not used them yet.
And it also helps having them, I've heard, because the lease will be in Dutch and many of the documents will be in Dutch. And if you do not speak or read Dutch, you will need to do a lot of translating, Google translating or Apple iPhone translating. We did,
or leaps of faith,
or just signing documents and saying, okay, I guess this is fine.
So those are our 3 tips. I hope they really, really help you. And
if you have a tip for moving to another country that we didn't mention, feel free to drop it in the comments below. We'd love to see what y'all have for suggestions as well. And now let's get into the tour.
Yeah.
All right, that down there is our entryway to get in from the street. And then we have our first little stairwell coming up to the platform where we take our shoes off. From there, we have a little door that separates that there. And another set of stairs that take us up. There's Grayson and Caleb. All right. Going to the first half bathroom. This is our Mario. A little bit of storage. Some things over there. Coats and shoes. This is our current gay wall. It's in progress. This is our living space. It is huge. Oh, Kevin's here too. Living space. We have our dining area and our kitchen. We also have lots of light and windows looking out into the back. We have a beautiful courtyard, and the canals in downtown are all that way. Going up to the upstairs, we will show you the second floor. We have one more set of stairs. We get lots of cardio in. You should see our butts. They are amazing. And up here, we have our bedroom, of course, a cat tower in almost every room. Our second bathroom with a bathtub. Really, really nice. And I'll take you into this room, but I'll take you the other way around, washer dryer. In this room, we have it as like a little bit of an office space where Caleb does his work. Our third bathroom with standing shower. And finally, we have our beautiful patio balcony that we don't get to use that much in Amsterdam because it does rain quite a bit. But in the spring and summer, we will definitely use this space. So that is the tour of our place. I hope you really enjoyed it. Please make sure that you like and follow our channel. Drop a comment. Let us know your favorite part about our apartment. And we will see you all in the next video.